Do do do. Hey, I noticed there's a big patch of blackness. There we go. And I need to get that side more. Okay. No, now there's this side. It's like, what are you thinking? What if I go like this? No? Okay. It's off in that corner. So. Alright, yeah, there we go. Alright. Alright. The mic is going. Yeah. Didn't crash. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's going. It's going. It's working. Here. Put the torch away. Alright. Okay, yeah. So this is another test. It didn't crash at undervolting to 1090 and to limiting the clock speed to 2650. So, but that was with no camera. This time I'm running a camera too. So my system is like doing everything, like everything. Even the camera. Everything. Alright. Let's see. Where we at? What did I do? You know what? I went swimming. I just went into the ocean. And I went for a swim. I just swam out there. Just went swimming. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go swimming. And I did. No boat, no nothing. And it turned into a good time. So let's see if we can do that again. We just gonna go for a swim. I don't know. Let's go that direction. Because like really, I don't have a plan this time. I'm still tripping off of like the stuff. Well, no. I kind of was tripping on something. I was tripping on how this, you know, what's going on now is like an echo of what happened in the year 2000. The 2000 election between Al Gore and what's his name? W. Bush. To me, should have been like slam dunk for Gore, based on the performance of Bill Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton like had improper sexual relations with an intern, with a subordinate. Yep, that is sexual assault or sexual abuse. Yeah, that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. So, right? Should he have been impeached for it? Is that a high crime and or misdemeanor? I don't know. But it's wrong. It was wrong. Okay. That said, Bill Clinton presided over like one of the largest one of the best, a huge boom. Like we were booming during the 90s. It was the .com boom, man. The internet was just coming online. Like I guess millennials or Gen Z was born like after the year like 2000. So they may not appreciate what the world was like before Before even the computer. Like, never mind the internet. What about the computer? Right. Now you got computers in your hands. They're totally mobile and wireless. Right? Your computer is your Oh shit, I'm drowning. See how terrified I am? Alright, there we go, air. You know what? I used to be really, really anxious of being underwater, but yeah. I've kind of learned to get over it because it's almost trivial. Okay, yeah. So the world is a lot different because of computers and wireless technology and the internet. Like, just information being like networked like that and accessible. Like, if you didn't know something back in the day, you were shit out of luck. You either had to go, well, you had to go to university, right? Because that's where the experts were. Right? They're in a physical location. And you know, you couldn't just pull things up on your phone or on the computer, right? You had to like go read books. It was analog. So, and if it wasn't that, and like you weren't at a library or anything, you were shit out of luck. That's it. You just didn't know. You just didn't know. Whatever it was, you didn't know. And like a lot of life was like that. I was like, I don't know. Like beyond like my own like experience, I'd be like, I don't know, right? Like maybe you can look up in an encyclopedia, but like, what's the information that an encyclopedia can hold compared to Wikipedia? Wikipedia is like an amazing repository for human knowledge. It's amazing. Like, we never had that. So it might be hard to understand, I guess, for younger people. But the internet, by coming into being, was like a big money maker, like for a lot of people, man. AOL made a ton of money. They got bought by Time Warner, or was it the other way around? Anyways, America Online, like, hey, I'm back out again. See what I mean? Just go for a swim. You have no idea. So, okay. So the election back then, we had an election. And the economy was doing really good because they were just growing the internet. They just started. It was brand new. It was like the brand new thing. And like, yeah, we were making tons of money. The country. So I thought for sure Gore's gonna win, right? How could Gore not win? Like, their team is doing great. Like, yeah, maybe Bill Clinton is like not so good for having bad morals or questionable morals. But the Democrats in general, right? That's the team you want. But no. So many people decided to go with W. Bush. And then the Supreme Court pretty much guaranteed that's who we're gonna get. The Supreme Court, it was a really close, right? It was 5-4. It was the Democrats versus the Republicans versus the Democrats. There were 5 Republicans on the court and 4 Democrats, and the decision was 5-4 along ideological lines. What the Republican decision said that no, you have to get it done by December 12th. That's the rule, and you can't break it. I don't know if it's a Florida rule or a U.S. government rule, like a federal rule. But the conservatives said no, you can't break the deadline. You have to use whatever you got. But what they got was illegal. The voter tally was wrong. Number one, it violated the Equal Protections Clause. That means basically it was the argument to say like, no, all your ballots were like all different, and the way you judge them are all different. You need to make a uniform way of doing it, so you're not biasing someone one way or the other, or whatever. So number one, your vote tally is illegal. But the conservatives said, well, but it's too late. Oh well, guess you got to use them. Whereas the Democrats, or the Democratic justices, were like, no, you got to redo it and use like a legal, lawful way of doing it that's uniform, that's the same throughout the state. You can't have one system in one state, one county, and another system in another county. So so the liberals are like, no, you should just go past the deadline and then recount it so you have the correct number. Because they did not go back and recount it, George W. Bush won. The conservatives said, oh, there's no time to do a vote count. Sorry, George W. Bush is the winner. But had they done a full recount, Gore probably would have won. I can't say for sure, right? Because it didn't happen. But pretty sure Gore would have won. In one county, the ballot was made in such a way that if you wanted to vote for Al Gore, you might mistakenly vote for Pat Buchanan. It was a confusing ballot. The whole ballot was fucking confusing. In the whole state was like a shit show for running an election. And who was the governor of that had all these problems? It was Jeb Bush, his brother, W. Bush's brother. I mean, like it's like, it looks a lot to me like the dynasty kingship fucking nobilities of old Europe, having all these families in a row. Like W. Bush, man, that family was like all over the place. The dad, H.W. Bush, the first one, he was the director of the CIA before he became president. Which, you know, I mean, like, H.W. Bush knew better than to into Iraq. His kid was too stupid to know that. W. Bush was too stupid not to go to avoid the trap of Iraq. But his dad knew not to go there. That's why when his dad did Desert Shield, he left like the majority of the country over to Saddam Hussein. Just did a no-fly zone, which was problematic in and of itself, but he knew better. Oh my gosh. Oh, that still kills me to this day, man. The Iraq War, that's like a self-inflicted wound that the United States did to. It's like, hey, we have this shit ton of money. Like, we could use it to make life better for our citizens, and like make high-speed rail and make universities free, or we could spend it blowing up like these poor people, these people who have way less than and who didn't do anything to us. The Iraqis didn't do anything to us. But Americans were all like traumatized from September 11th, and they wanted to hit somebody. So it was easy for W. Bush to lie to the American people, to say, "Oh, Iraq was also a part of 9/11," which wasn't. It never was. It had nothing to do with 9/11. But W. Bush and the Republicans used the trauma of the Americans to trick them into war. So anyways, I'm getting off the point. The point is, in 2000, the Republicans, no, we can't break Florida law and grant you an extension to do things correctly because, you know, we don't want to break state law. But in 2024, this year, right now, happening right now, in Virginia, there's a law in Virginia that you can't change anything related to voting within 90 days of an election. Because otherwise it looks like you're trying to mess with the election. So to maintain election integrity, nobody can change anything for 90 days before an election. Well, the Republicans in Georgia didn't want to abide by that law. So it kicked off like 1,600 people off its voting rolls. And the Department of Justice sued Virginia, saying, no, you can't do that. By your own law, you're not allowed to do that. Well, the Republicans in Virginia sued and appealed. And then after the appeal, they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court took it. And the Supreme Court said, no, it's okay to break Florida law to kick these people off the ballot. You can do it. So, do you see how, and the Republican Supreme Court, do you see how the Republicans, like, how the rules aren't something that's set in stone. They're flexible according to how it will advantage the Republicans. Like, Republicans is a misnomer, dude. They're fascists. Anyways, but that date in the year 2000 when they made the, or yeah, that it was like 1999, I think. They decided, yeah, that's funny, right before the millennium change, right? Like hours before the, or like not hours, days, weeks before the new millennium. The Republicans like handed the election over to W. Bush by saying there's no time to count the actual votes. And they said the date you had to hit was December 12th. Okay, that's what happened in the year 2000. In 2024, we know Donald Trump is going to try to overthrow the election. Elie Mystal, or Mistal, I'm not sure how you say his name. Elie Mystal in The Nation wrote for The Nation. He wrote a scenario, a possible scenario. Like, rather than take it to the House or to the Supreme Court, well, eventually it'll go to the Supreme Court. But what they want to do is use that precedent of December 12th being a set in stone date as the trigger to undo the election. Like, if Donald Trump can create enough chaos so that the votes aren't certified by December 12th, then the Republicans can do all sorts of shenanigans to overthrow the election. So what he's saying is that it's not even like January 6th. They're going to try by December 12th. Like, barely a month. So if the Republicans can cause enough chaos that stops the votes from being certified for about a month, they can overthrow the election. quote quote legally, and then the Supreme Court will and basically hand the coup over to the Republicans and overthrow the election. That's like frightening, because you can already see Donald Trump attempting to do it. He's already suing a county in Pennsylvania for vote fraud. The election's not even over yet. He doesn't even know if he won that county or not, but he's suing it ahead of time. Not because he thinks he's going to win, but because it's going to create chaos and make them delay as long as possible. His whole fucking deal is to delay justice, delay it as long as possible. That's all he wants to do. He's not trying to succeed, he's trying to delay, because in that time that he delays, he can make another source of chaos. And then while you're dealing with that, he'll make 2 more sources of chaos. And then pretty soon the whole thing's a clusterfuck. Too much for regular people to like absorb in their head. And that's how you slip into fascism. Everything becomes a clusterfuck. And you can't certify the Electoral College votes by December 12th or submit them. So your state gets kicked out. And if your state happened to vote for Harris, well, you just found a way to get rid of a Harris state. And then you're only going to count the states that remain, according to like the 12th Amendment. December 12th, 12th Amendment. Yeah, I don't know, but it is. You know what's nice about digging? Oh shit! Underwater is that, yeah, there's not a whole bunch of mobs trying to kill you. Like, look at that. I found a cave, but like, look at all the mobs waiting. Nothing's trying to kill me here. This is nice. Why would I go to a place where they're trying to kill me? I'm just gonna collect my iron and gold and put some more glow ink. So yeah, that's Donald Trump's plan. He's gonna cry fraud, and he's gonna send, and he's gonna command his operatives to refuse to certify, and his operatives all over the country and in key places will refuse to certify the Harris election. If Harris wins, they'll refuse to certify it, and their goal is to delay until December 12th, where they can get rid of the election, and then have the Supreme Court pay it. That's the plan. That's another possibility, right? There's multiple attempts. There's multiple ways they can attempt a coup. And that's just some of them. You think I'm joking? You think I'm making this up? No, hombre. It's real. Damn it. Well, here, this is my little space. My little space. Okay, get rid of... Here, no, I'm gonna, like, compactify. Compactify. Too much stuff. You must compactify. Get rid of some of this stuff too. Like, come on. Keep the cobblestone. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so that's one thing I'm like, holy shit. Oh boy. So, like, the election is a week away. If you haven't voted, I hope you consider voting. It's a very, very important election. It would behoove you to be a part of history and to join us. Join us! Be one of us! Oh, I'm running out of air. Can I find I'll make an air pocket. Oh, hey, look at that. Ta-da! So far my rig's holding up. Let's check the temperature. It's 88 degrees Celsius on my hotspot. What's my... You know what? I didn't put up the clock speed. I should have do that. I need to put that up there. Can I do it while I'm... I can't do it while I'm underwater. I mean, I could, but... Air. Look at these caves. Forever. Look how close to home I am. So yeah, like, there's an entire cave system that, like, giant huge caves that you can find while swimming. And it's actually easier than caving in dry land because there's no mobs. Yay, look at what a fantastic, like, mini adventure. How many hours? Minutes? 28. All right, let's... You know what? I should smelt this stuff. Okay then. I need to take care of this. Food. Sure. What else can I tell you about? Like, there's no input. Let's see. That's good for now. Okay. This way. Yes, my models. Duverger's Law. Duverger's Law. Americans need to know this law. This is very, very important. Duverger's Law. What is Duverger's Law? Duverger's Law says that in a first past the post system, like the American system, it tends to have just two political parties because of the logic of the first past the post system. So that any third party that tries to go into the system, it will take away votes from whatever party it's closest to. Right? Do you understand? It's almost like physics. It's almost like physics. Like, but it's logic. It's just logic. It's just logical. Right? If you have Democrats on the left and you have Republicans on the right, and in comes Jill Stein. Jill Stein is closer to the Democrats, ideologically speaking, than she is to the well, supposedly, right? Supposedly, that's the important thing. Supposedly, she's actually like supportive of Russia, so and deferential to Putin. So I don't think she's truly on the left. I think Jill Stein is an agent of the right, but knows how to use the lingo to cover herself, to appear to be a progressive, but she's not really. She's like Kristen Sinema. Same thing. Dr. West, I don't know what's up with him, man. I don't know. I haven't listened to him though. I haven't heard like anything. Of course I didn't go out looking for him either. So I barely hear anything from Jill Stein. Enough to know that she's like with Russia, which like crosses her off the list, which doesn't matter anyways, right? Because of Duverger's Law. Every time this is gonna get you. This is the way it is in a two parties first past the post system. This is the deal. Anybody party will take away votes from the party it is closest to. So if it was 50 here and 50 here, suddenly it would be 50 here and 48 here and 1 here and 1 here, and the winner is the guy with 50, the one with 50. So a third party will hurt the party it's closest to every time. Every time. Every time. That's Duverger's law. So Republicans know about the spoiler effect that's inherent in Duverger's law. They know about the spoiler effect. So they tried to use it against the Democrats. How? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's how. They picked a guy who they believed could appeal to elements on the left. And they picked him and said, "Hey dude, we want to position you over here. We want you over here, RFK Jr. That way the Republicans will take away votes from who's closest? Who's closest? The Democrats." That's what they planned on. That's what the Republicans planned on. So they paid a lot of money into the RFK Jr. campaign. Their billionaires donated to him. Right. He only had legs because of all this help he got from Republicans. And so like at first it was like 50-50. RFK Jr.'s message was taking some from the Democrats, but he was also taking some from Republicans. But over time, as RFK Jr. kept talking more and more and more, it became clear that he was actually over here on this side. He was closer to the Republicans than he was to the Democrats. Because what ended up happening was no more Democrats went over to RFK Jr., but a lot of Republicans were going to him. So when that happened, RFK Jr. started to hurt not the Democrats, started to hurt the Republicans. So what happened? Remember, he was always on their side. He was always there. So they're like, "Oh, look, this guy is that was supposed to like be our friend and help us out by taking votes away from the other team. Now he's taking votes away from us. Like, we got to tell him to knock it off." And so they did. They said, "Hey, RFK Jr., stop. Stop doing what you're doing. You're hurting us. Stop." And RFK Jr. said, "Well, if you give me a job, I will." And they said, "Okay, fine. We'll make you part of the government if you stop what you're doing." And he says, "Okay." So not only did RFK Jr. like withdraw from the race, he sued all these states, like New York and I forget what other ones, but a bunch of states. He sued a bunch of states to get his name off of the ballot, even though the deadline had already passed. He had to sue. He tried to sue to get his name off the ballot. Why would he go so far as to sue to get his name off the ballot? Because him even being there hurts the Republicans. That's his whole point of being. Once he stopped serving his purpose, he stopped being. He's not there anymore. His campaign's gone. Right? He's gone. It's gone. It was never intended to be legitimate that he actually stood on a platform. No, his whole point always was to help the Republicans, the fascists. It was always to help the fascists. Jill Stein, pretty sure she's there to help the fascists. Like, I haven't paid attention to her much, but there's a picture of her with Vladimir Putin at a meeting with General Mike Flynn. They're at a table, sitting at a dinner table with Vladimir Putin, and Jill Stein fails to condemn Russia or Putin. She won't do it. So that tells me Jill Stein's compromised. So I don't believe she's a leftist at all. I don't believe that at all. I think she's actually over here. But as long as she serves her purpose of hurting the Democrats, as long as people believe that that she's actually closest to the Democrats, she will take votes away from the Democrats and hurt them. So she's okay. If ever Jill Stein started to take votes away from the Republicans, if ever that happened, the Republicans would tell her to knock it off and give her a job in the government, and she would quit her campaign and reabsorbed into the fascists. I bet you. I bet you. I mean, I don't know, right? I'm speculating, but the nature of it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Her campaign doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Duviger's law is king in first past the post system. You gotta remember, I keep saying that. First past the post. First past the post. This only matters because the American system is stupid and it has the first past the post system. If it would only change, if the Americans would only change their voting system, keep democracy, right? Democracy is fucking tastic. You want democracy. The problem isn't the democracy. The problem is the voting system. The people who make the vote are very weak. They're very weak. Of all these candidates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of all these candidates, they can only choose one. That's shitty. That's shitty. So, in the first past the post system, like, if they choose poorly, it helps the other team. Now, the solution to that, to make that better, is to give more power to the voters. You want voters to have more power. If they have more power, they're able to better reflect themselves and impress themselves upon the government. So, and then the government will be more responsive to their needs and wants. So the way you give more power to the voter is with ranked choice voting. You let people vote not once, but like you rank them. You can like 5, 3, I don't know, however many you want. Let's say 3, just for simplicity's sake. So instead of you just voting for one person, you rank people. Like, I really want Jill Stein to win. She's pretty cool, right? Jill Stein. This would be my number 1. Just for an example, right? But number 2, if Jill Stein can't win, I'm okay with RFK Jr. He'll be the number 2. And if neither Jill Stein nor RFK Jr. can win, then I'll vote for Kamala Harris, and she's my number 3. Alright, so then we do the vote, right? We count the votes. Everyone does this. Everyone does their vote like that. And we count the votes. First thing we do is we count up all of the number 1 votes. Now, the magic number here is 50%. Whatever candidate gets 50% of the votes wins the election. So you have five candidates. And the goal is 50% of the vote. All right. So suppose Donald Trump, you have 5. Here, I'm gonna have to. Let's see. How can I divide this pretty easily? 20. So Donald Trump gets like 20%. RFK Jr. gets 1. Jill Stein gets 1. Cornel gets 1. And Kamala Harris gets 2. But nobody has 3. Well, here, we'll go like that. Okay. So the first thing you do is you count up and you see, is anyone at 50%? And you'll be like, look, and no, it's all spread out. So what you do is you count everyone's number 1 choice. And yeah, this is everyone's number 1 choice, right? If nobody has 50%, like you're looking, yep, nobody has 50%, you find whoever has the least amounts of number 1s and you eliminate them. Right? They're gone. But that doesn't mean your vote is gone. Instead, now your vote moves to your number 2. And yeah, that would be this guy, right? So suppose Dr. West only had like 0.5%. There we go. There's a half. So he only won half. So you got half, 1, 2, and these guys are tied at 3. Nobody has 50%. So the first thing you do is you eliminate the let's go this way then. The first thing you do is you go to your, if you're you go to the person with the least amount. Okay, so the first thing you do is see if anyone has 50%. The second one is, if nobody has 50%, find the person with the lowest amount. We're all on number 1s right now, right? Find the person with the least amount of votes, and you eliminate them. All right, so that would be Jill Stein. So she loses her vote. But your vote, if you voted for Jill Stein as number 1, doesn't mean your vote's gone. It moves to your number 2. Now your vote is on number 2. Now it's over there. So you haven't lost, right? You haven't lost. Your vote's not gone. It's still there. Now you're voting for your number 2 guy. And then we look again. Now we go back to step 1. Does anybody have 50%? And we're looking, we're like, no, not quite there yet, right? So you go then, okay, then you go to the next elimination. Who has the least amount of votes at this time? And this will be this guy. That's 2, and that's 1.5. So this is, so this RFK Jr. is eliminated. But the votes here aren't eliminated. They're not gone. They're redistributed. If he was your number 1, you get moved to your number 2. If that was your number 2, it gets moved to the number 3. So we're going to say this one gets half, and then we're going to say Kamala Harris gets the last one. Oh shit. So Kamala Harris then gets that one, and she hits 50%. Now Kamala Harris okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now we're gonna say Kamala Harris has the majority. She has 50%. That means she'll be the winner. But the way we determined it wasn't like first past the post. First past the post, you would only get 1 vote. And you would only get one and if the person that you voted for loses, your vote is thrown out. Right? That's first past the post. And in first past the post, you have Duviger's law, which means any third party people are just going to hurt the person that's closest to you and help the person that's farthest from you. Okay, but under ranked choice voting, which I just showed you, right? That's Duviger's law is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Just because Jill Stein and Cornel and RFK Jr. are in the race does not hurt the person, the party that you're closest to. It doesn't hurt them. You can't hurt other candidates just by being in the race. That's the key. There's no spoiler effect. Like Ross Perot, non-issue. Ralph Nader, non-issue. Jill Stein, non-issue. Cornel West, non-issue. RFK Jr., non-issue. Because them being in the race is no longer going to hurt any other party. That's just another choice on the ranking. So, because the voter isn't limited to just 1 vote, they have a choice. They can rank. So in that way, you get a better representation of people's preferences. Like, it's literally a better way of voting. You defeat Duviger's law, and you make a better kind of democracy. Ranked choice voting is like the next evolution. It's just basically what the the United States needs to do next. It needs to get out of the get out of the trap of first past the post voting. First past the post voting is old and antiquated. It's like a super old way of voting, and it's not very good. Every other democracy has chosen a better way of doing it. Because there are better ways. There are better ways to do it. And I'm telling you one of them, and that's ranked choice voting. What I just showed you. So to overcome Duverger's law, we need ranked choice voting. You get more parties, and they don't hurt each other just by being there. So how do I know that Duverger's law is bad for democracy? Because Donald Trump uses it. Remember how I told you that remember how I told you that the spoiler hurts the party they're closest to, and that's the reason why RFK Jr. was put into place, was to hurt the Democrats. And when RFK Jr. stopped hurting the Democrats and only hurt the Republicans, he killed his campaign and joined the Republicans. Here's how. Listen. But the other two candidates, Cornel West and Jill Stein, are still in the race, so they're still hurting the Democrats. So what does Donald Trump do? He says he likes them. He likes Jill Stein and Cornel West. Why? Because they're 100% hurting the Democratic campaign. Listen, it's not me. Listen to him. He'll tell you himself.
So we got this poll last night from Rasmussen, and it was they also did it like with Kennedy and with the other ones in there. Cornel West. He's one of my favorite candidates, Cornel West. And I like her also, Jill Stein. I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them. He takes 100%. Kennedy's probably 50-50, but he's a fake. He's a fake. He's a total fake. So we got this poll last night from Rasmussen.
So he's telling you. That was before RFK Jr. killed his campaign. He started to hurt them, so he killed his campaign. But in the beginning, he was there to hurt the Democrats. That's why Republicans funded him. Man, I don't know what else to tell you. I think this is super important. Like, that's why I'm so insistent upon it. Like, we're literally talking about the future. I was talking to my mom and bitching about how the baby boomers wrecked everything. They were given so much awesomeness, and they just like squandered it. Like the Iraq War is a perfect example of squandering the wealth that an opportunity given to them by their parents. Like, not my mom in particular, but that generation as a whole. And you can see it now, right? That generation, the boomer generation, votes Republican. They're the ones who ushered in Donald Trump. They helped too. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to get old. And if the world's not fixed, they're going to say I fucked up. So I'm doing what I can to unfuck the world. And Donald Trump is a fucking of the world. And Kamala Harris is like a healing of the world. I don't know, right? I don't know that. I don't know if she would be or not. Because Palestine is still a pretty important issue. But she wouldn't hurt it as bad as Donald Trump. And these reforms, such as ranked choice voting, are more likely to happen under the Democrats than they are under the Republicans. Republicans do not like ranked choice voting. Republicans consistently rally against ranked choice voting. They prefer having Duverger's law, because it distorts the electorate, right? The voter is kept weak and only has one vote to cast for many candidates. So it's a stunting of democracy. That's why Republicans want to keep it. Republicans want to be able to run fake candidates to hurt the Democrats, and they can only do that under first past the post. If they do ranked choice voting, their strategy to hurt the Democrats no longer works, and they get angry. Just like that's why they get mad at mail-in voting. Republicans hate mail-in voting. Why? Because traditionally there were ways of controlling the voting booth. You controlled the number of them, their location, their hours of operation. You limit the amount of time that the people can vote. And then under Jim Crow, there were literacy tests applied. There were poll taxes applied. There were all sorts of things applied to stop you from voting, to stop certain demographics from voting. We could see it done in Florida, where the people passed an initiative to give back voting rights to felons once they've served their time. Like, the people voted. The people of Florida voted for it. Well, the Republican-controlled government of Florida didn't like that. They didn't, because those felons, those ex-felons who are now voting, are not going to vote for Republicans. So they're going to vote for Democrats. So in order to preserve their own power, Republicans made a fine or passed a rule to say that if an ex-felon tries to vote without paying all of their fines, their fees to the state of Florida, they go back to prison and are a felon again. Well, how do you know what money you owe? Is there a number you call? Is there like a place you go? Can you give me an itemized list? And the state of Florida said no. No, you don't know how much you owe. We're not going to tell you. And if you get it wrong, we're going to put you in prison again. So, in other words, the Florida Republicans nullified the law, because that essentially said if you're makes it incredibly risky to vote if you're an ex-felon, because you never know if there's some fee somewhere that will send you back to prison. Like, it's not worth it, man, if you're an ex-felon. So the Republicans government of Florida essentially overruled the will of the people in Florida in order to keep their voter suppression tactic in place. Like, it's terrible. The system's real. It's actually there. Racism is real. Systemic racism is a real thing. That's why they made it illegal to teach people about it, because it's a real thing. Oh man. Yeah, they don't. Republicans do not want an evolution of democracy. They don't want democracy at all. And ranked choice voting is an evolution of democracy. So in the old days, yeah, Republicans would use all sorts of tricks to stop people from voting. But mail-in voting takes away all of the tactics. How do you intimidate someone if they're already at home? How do you limit the number of polling places if everyone just mails in their vote? How do you intimidate people at the polling sites if they don't have to go to a polling site? Like, how do you make them wait in long lines in the heat or in the rain? How do you make them wait hours to vote if they have weeks to do it and they can mail it in from their own home? You can't do any of their tactics, and so they hate it. They hate it. I don't know. I thought it was obvious, but I guess not. Not to a lot of people, I guess. Yeah, we need to evolve democracy into ranked choice voting, for sure, for sure, because that would get rid of the spoiler effect. That would get rid of Duverger's law. Duverger's law, yeah, that would get rid of this law. We won't be stuck with just two parties, and the parties can't hurt each other. You can't finance an opponent's, like, you can't finance a rival, or you can't finance a third party to hurt your opponent. You can't do it. You just can't. The logic doesn't work for you anymore. This is a very, very important election. I mean, it's basically the fate of the world. The fate of the world. Because we're not going to have another election if Donald Trump wins.
Christians go to church, but they don't vote that much. Do you know the power you have if you would vote? It wouldn't even be. So you got to get out and vote. Just this time. I don't care. In 4 years, you don't have to vote, okay?
See? Donald Trump already has it in mind that there won't be any more elections. He already has it in mind that there won't be any more elections. Once he takes power, that's it for democracy. That's why you have to vote. Because he's out there telling a bunch of crazy people to overthrow our country. You have to vote, or people will die. I mean, to be blunt, right? To be blunt. It's a matter of life and death. I mean, I know some people, you can't vote now in some places because the deadline to register is already passed. But if you can vote, please do so. We have to evolve. Alright, I've been going for 1 hour now. Alright, that's a lot better. And then, ooh, we're at 320 watts, dude. That's a lot. Oh, because of the camera. Wow, the camera adds a lot. The camera adds like 30 watts of power. Holy shit, I had no idea. Interesting. And my temperature is 90 degrees Celsius. So, man, it gets hot even though, like, I underclocked it. Well, I didn't underclock it. I undervolted it. And limited its overclock to 260. 2650 megahertz. Whatever. Yeah, almost 230. Yeah, 330 watts. Holy shit, it's using a lot of power. Sacre bleu. Funny. Oh yeah, hey, that's why. Oh yeah, that it was the video that sucked up all the wattage. Oh, it's still pretty high wattage, but yeah. So Donald Trump himself is telling you that he wants to overthrow the country. I mean, we've known this. But if we have an overwhelming victory in the polls, he will be less likely to succeed in his coup. Because he's going to try to do a coup again. This is certain. It's absolute, guys. It's absolute. He's going to try to do another coup. It's absolutely certain. You have to be ready for it. Psychologically speaking. Because they're gonna try to trick you and cause problems and chaos. Okay, I think that'll do it for my test. I didn't realize it uses so much power still, man. But that's okay. It didn't crash, right? And it didn't get into the hundreds. It's at 89. 89 degrees Celsius. Hotspot. And I don't know how the image is coming out. I hope it's alright. I hope it's alright and smooth. Smooth. Smooth Moby. Alright, that'll do it for me. Until next time, peace. Pogo Kiddo out. Stop.